Hi Cherries, it's Jessica here with you today, and welcome to the A Cherry on Top YouTube channel. Today's video is for our Technique Tuesday video series, and this month we are focusing on watercolors. The watercolors that I'm working with today are the ColorSparx watercolor powder, and if you haven't tried these before, I very highly recommend it. They are so fun, and it's really magical once you sprinkle them on your page and then spray them with a little bit of mist from your water bottle, and it's just a color explosion. When working with these powders, you'd be surprised how little you need. You just tap it lightly onto your page and it won't look like much at all until you start spraying. And this is where you can either add more or work with it with a paintbrush, how I am, and spread it around a little bit. Something that is really cool with these ColorSparx is that in one jar there are multiple colors. So this little tube that I'm using today is mostly green, but there are little specks of yellow and red and blue, and it just comes out really cool. You can also use these over a stencil. You can get a more clean look from this. I was just going more quickly and spraying around and going for a more messy look. I think when you're using stencils and watercolors, you need to just be prepared that it might not look perfect and give it a few tries. I tried a couple different ways of how this would work best. I would sprinkle it over the stencil, then mist it with my spray bottle while the stencil was still on, or I would take off the stencil and then mist it. I didn't notice too much difference. But play with it a little bit and see what works best for you. I'm really going for like a rich green with a lot of leaves and more naturey look, so messy was fine with me. And now I'm using some of the new Vicki Boutin watercolors. These have been compared with tempera paints, which are a bit more opaque, so I thought I could layer on top of my watercolors I already have, and this is also just a test, and I wanted to see how it would look. And when you're painting on a stencil like this, the more dry your paintbrush is, the better luck you have. A lot of times with watercolors, they tend to seep underneath the stencil and you get more of a blurred image, but just take your time and use as little water as you can. Typically when I work with watercolors, I like to have a few different brands out with a few different color options, and then I just play with it. Next, I'm going to be stamping on some moths on my page. I am using the Catherine Pooler spruce color, which is a really nice deep green, and I am using the stamps from Vicki Boutin's Fernwood collection along with some Tim Holtz moth stamps. I will put links to all of the products in the description below. I wanted to add a few different textures in here. I've got a lot going on with the watercolors, and so I also wanted to add some embossing powder just to mix up the looks of these moths a little bit and have some of them stand out a little bit more. The color embossing powder I'm using is the Tim Holtz Rustic Wilderness, which again is a really nice dark deep green. I am just leaving the clumps of embossing powder on my page until I have all of my moths that I want with the embossing powder put on my page. I think it's just easier to remember where they're at. And now I'm using the Dress My Craft funnel. It works really good for glitter or embossing powder, and then there's just this little screw tab and you can just dump it all in there. This is the first tool for glitter and powders that I've used, and it is much easier than folding a paper in half and trying to get all of it together. I matted my photos with a forest green cardstock and put them on top of some foam tape. I almost always put foam tape under my photos. I think it helps layering with putting the embellishments behind it, and also helps separate it from the background a little bit more. And because I have so much going on with the background, I wanted to keep my embellishments very simple. I grabbed a few of the ephemera pieces from the Fernwood collection, including this cute vellum piece, which I wrote my title on. And now it is time to stick everything down. My tip for using the vellum pieces and attaching them to your page is to use cherry tape because it is clear, and if you use wet glue it will get very warped. And then with my little moths, I like to add a piece of foam on their outside wing, and then I'm sticking it underneath the photo so it looks like it's popping out from beneath the photo. I really like making layouts like this where the background is the main focus and then it's just very simple with the embellishments. I think it helps the photos really shine, and also it's so fun to play with all of the mixed media and layer up, like how I was with the watercolors today, and I just had a fun time making this. I hope you got some good techniques you can try on your next page, and make sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching.